Fruits of righteousness, justice, and mercy. Be filled with the fruit of righteousness. The Gospel passage, Matthew chapter 21, 33 to 43, the parable of the landowner and tenants, could be looked from the perspective of producing fruits of righteousness, justice, and mercy. We delve into the deeper spiritual meaning conveyed by this powerful parable. Fruits as manifestation of righteousness. Fruits as expressions of justice. Fruits as acts of mercy. We know what are the fruits of the Spirit from Galatians chapter 5, 22 to 23. They are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Fruits as manifestation of righteousness. The vineyard owner represents God, who expects the tenants, us who are baptized, to cultivate and bear fruits of righteousness within the vineyard in the world. Literally, in the parable, the vineyard represents Israel. Israel rejected the prophet, God's messenger. So much so, they even rejected the only Son, Jesus Christ. We who live in the world that is vineyard, there's a temptation, tendency to reject God. But how do we produce fruits as manifestation of righteousness? Righteousness encompasses living a life aligned with God's will, following His commandments, and treating others with fairness and respect. Ask in your life, do you treat others with fairness and respect? Do you align your life with God's will? The actions of the tenants toward the vineyard owner's messengers signify the rejection of righteousness. Their unjust treatment mirrors a lack of understanding and alignment with God's principles of fairness and love. When we live in the world of vineyard, when we do not align with God's principles of fairness and love, there is a possibility of rejection of righteousness. Fruits as expressions of justice. Justice involves treating others equitably, ensuring everyone has what they need, and upholding the dignity and rights of all individuals. The vineyard's fruit symbolizes the outcomes of justice, equitable distribution of resources and opportunities. The tenant's refusal to render the fruit to the vineyard owner represents a distortion of justice, hoarding what should be shared and perpetuating inequality. Today, in the world we live, do we symbolize justice, equitable distribution of resources and opportunity? Why is that? We have the rich and the poor living in the same cities. There are people who have got a lot of resources, a lot of savings. There are people who live paycheck to paycheck. They are in need of some help from the government, from social organizations. Why there is disparity of the rich and the poor? the biggest problem of migration. Why people tend to move to countries that have higher resource infrastructure, and why there is such a gulf between the rich and the poor is a big question of justice. Fruits as acts of mercy. Mercy involves showing compassion, forgiveness, and kindness to those in need, even when they may not deserve it. The vineyard owner's persistence in sending messengers despite the mistreatment displays mercy, offering repeated chances for the tenants to repent and fulfill their responsibilities. The lack of mercy demonstrated by the tenants portrays an unwillingness to forgive and extend kindness, highlighting the absence of merciful heart. But God never gives up. The fruits as acts of mercy continues. Jesus as the ultimate expression of righteousness, justice, and mercy. Jesus, referred to as the cornerstone rejected by the builders, embodies righteousness, justice, and mercy. Jesus' teachings and life exemplify living righteously, advocating for justice and showing mercy to all, even to those who reject him. By rejecting Jesus, humanity rejected the embodiment of these divine virtues, leading to a world plagued by injustice, unrighteousness, and lack of mercy. There's a call to produce fruits of virtues. The parable of the landowner of the vineyard and the tenants calls us to reflect on our lives and assess if we are bearing fruits of righteousness, justice, and mercy in our interactions with others. It urges us to align ourselves with Jesus, the cornerstone, and let his example guide us in producing these fruits abundantly in the vineyard of our lives and the broader world. As followers of Christ, we are challenged to be bearers of righteousness, advocates for justice, and dispensers of mercy in a world in need. May we embrace the call to cultivate these fruits in our lives, striving to reflect Jesus' character and further God's kingdom on earth. Justice, you get what you deserve. Mercy, you don't get what you deserve. Grace, you get what you don't deserve. Fruits as manifestation of righteousness. Fruits as expressions of justice. And fruits as acts of mercy. We are all called to produce fruits of virtue. Jesus is the ultimate expression of righteousness, justice, and mercy.